So to pivot a little bit, you talked about how vocal Frankie Collins was when he left Michigan. Another Michigan player that's been pretty vocal in his time there is Hunter Dickinson on various matters, right? And I think that's kind of like really been the biggest fuel to the rivalry that's kind of been created between Illinois and Michigan. It's Illinois fans hate Hunter Dickinson, I think, more than they actually hate Michigan, if I'm being completely honest. And then it's like, then he doesn't play in the game in Champaign. It's like he's ducking Kofi. It's all sorts of stuff. And it finds out like he tested positive for COVID and they didn't clear him to play. And they were concerned about, his conditioning levels. And it's like, there's a lot of people like, all right, like he just didn't want to play. He's ducking. And then he obviously says the stuff before last season about how Illinois fans are annoying and what have you. Like, what's your relationship like with Hunter Dickinson? Obviously, I don't think you guys are like best friends or anything, but like as a Michigan fan, like how much do you hold Hunter Dickinson and his outspoken attitude and everything near and dear? Because I personally think it's hilarious. Like some of the stuff he says is absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, I don't mind it, but I wouldn't say he's anywhere near the top of like my all-time favorites. I love his game. Like if I was making a starting five of the best Michigan players in my lifetime, I'd have a really hard time not putting him in the starting five. It'd probably be him or Mitch McGary. And Mitch McGary played good basketball for 3 weeks. Hunter's played great basketball for 2 years. So my problems with Hunter come from, and I got a little bit of shit from this from our latest video. I think we're going to talk about it, but we use the term manufactured swag, right? Yes. And that is the Hunter Dickinson. That's him to a T. Like,
so his big Dickinson energy shirts are fake.
Well, they're not fake. Like that is him in a shirt. Is he wants to call himself Big Dick Energy? It's kind of corny. It's loud. It's whatever. Like, let's make some money off that. That's not fake at all. But like, what was fake to me from people that are in the media business and have known Hunter since his high school days was the way he approached that Big Ten Media Day. And it was my first time at a media day, so I don't know how different that was. I'll probably go back this year and we'll see what Hunter does. But like, he went into Big Ten Media Day last year trying to be the villain of the league. And like, he was kind of the breakout star. Like, he had a great freshman year. He's this preseason All-American. So like, the hype was warranted for something like that. But I mean, did he need to say he hates Illinois fans and they're annoying and he hates Michigan State fans? No, not at all. And look, I don't think Hunter Dickinson has ever seriously ducked anything. If I was a rival fan, I would 100% use that. I would make fun of him for it forever. But even more than the not playing the game against Kofi, like the games he played against Kofi, he totally shied away from that battle. And to me, like, you can't be the dude who talks all the shit at the microphone and wants to be the big bad wolf and then kind of shy away from the moment when it's your turn to go toe-to-toe with the biggest, baddest dude in the conference. And to me, that's what Hunter did against Illinois. He hasn't beat him in his career. So it's tough for me. It's tough. I'm a little surprised, quite frankly, that Hunter hasn't had more to say about the way we talk about him on our sleeper stuff, because I think he's heard some of it. Like, he has crossed paths with me. He jumped in a Spotify live room we did like maybe a month ago. And I think it was the day I was saying Pete Nance is like I'd rather have Pete Nance than Drew Timme if I'm Gonzaga. And first of all, crazy take. So like, I get the people who are up in arms about that, but
no, this is where Sim got his Pete Nance is better than Drew Timme take a couple weeks ago that I just was like, you're an idiot.
So it's not that he's better. It's that he's a better fit for Gonzaga. And I'll stand by that for forever. Like, we've seen a team that's centered around Drew Timme fail in March. And I mean, if you want to call a title runner-up a failure, that's dumb. But like, Arkansas exposed Drew Timme this year.
He's a cone on defense. You can't win
with him
as your five. You can't win with him as your five.
But that's my point. Sim, you said that Pete Nance is better at basketball than Drew Timme. He's not.
That's not true. He's not better at basketball. But I think you can win with Pete Nance easier than you can win with Drew Timme, though, for sure, which is my point. But anyway, so I was doing this big crusade about that like 3 weeks ago, and all of a sudden Hunter Dickinson's in the room listening, and someone called it out, and he's just like, he starts typing. He's just like, this shit's crazy. So like, we tried to get him up and kind of talk with him. I don't know what he knows about me. If he does listen to our shit, he probably hates me because we make fun of him a lot. But I will say, like, the Illinois guys are way more in tune with the shit we say about him than I think Hunter Dickinson is, thankfully, right now.
So you talk about Hunter saying those things at Big Ten Media Days. So I was also at Big Ten Media Days. And unfortunately, we didn't meet there. We actually just kind of met on Twitter a couple months after that, I think. And my editor was like, hey, Hunter Dickinson obviously said that stuff about Illinois earlier this summer. Can you see if there's a story there? And I was like, yeah, I'll ask him about it. And respectfully, you know, I'm a young journalist. I was a senior in college at the time. I tried to phrase the question, Hunter, you know, earlier this summer, these quotes come out about you not liking Illinois and whatever. And he goes, I'm like, this is just not going to go well. Like, he's just going to kill me for this. And of course, like, that becomes the overall story of Big Ten Media Days. It's Hunter's quote. And I'm like, oh no, this isn't good. And then Hunter, like, later in the day, is taking pictures with, I think, the NCAA championship trophy or the Big Ten championship trophy. That
it was the Big Ten. That was with us. So we
was it really?
Yeah, we were pulling like a player for each team aside and asking them like 30 seconds of quick hitter questions. That was our whole model. And Hunter was one of the first ones we did. Him and Eli Brooks both agreed to do it. And everybody else, it was just like, hey, can we pull you to the side? Or like, let's go to the tunnel. Let's go just away from the podium so we have a little privacy, right? Hunter and Eli were like, where do you guys want to go? Hunter makes a beeline to the corner and grabs the Big Ten championship trophy. And Eli's literally like, bro, are you serious? And Hunter's just like, let's go. And so we're like, okay. So like, I'm standing in between Hunter Dickinson and Eli Brooks. Hunter's holding this big ass trophy. And I'm a Michigan fan. Like,
you're like, hold the trophy up.
Yeah, and at the time they were the champs, so like at least it wasn't like he's Nebraska and he's grabbing the trophy or something. But like, to me, like, again, like, he's just begging people to put the target on him, right? And I have no problem with you being that dude and attracting that attention if you're gonna show up in big games and do the work. And like, again, you can go through the biggest games of his career, but the 2 times Michigan lost in the tournament, Hunter had pretty poor games. Villanova had nobody over 6'8" last year, and Hunter missed a lot of bunnies in that game, and they lost. And Illinois, they lost every single time. He ran from Kofi. I watched it in Ann Arbor. The man was totally disengaged in that game. Michigan State, Hunter's had games with 40 against Michigan State in his career so far. He's also had games where like Marcus Bingham was doing whatever he wants with him. So like, I need to see a little more consistency from Hunter if he's gonna keep being this villain. And honestly, I don't think he's gonna be. I think he's gonna be a very reserved Hunter Dickinson going into this year, because I think he learned some lessons based on how the last season went.
All right, so you talk about some of the lessons. You talk about, right, Illinois being 4-0 against Hunter Dickinson. Let's just dive into this rivalry a little bit more. You call him Daddy Brad. Is Brad Underwood Michigan's daddy, like the Yankees were Pedro Martinez's?
I think it is legitimately fair to say that Illinois, or that Brad Underwood is Michigan's daddy. Yes, that's where that originated from. Like, is it funny? Yes. I didn't think that was going to take off the way it did, but like, it came from a genuine place. Like, if I'm looking at Big Ten coaches, the only one I'm terrified of is Brad Underwood. And I don't know if that applies to other teams. I don't know if like Wisconsin fans are afraid of Brad Underwood. I don't know how Michigan State fans feel about him. I know that as Michigan fans, we should be horrified of this man. I don't want to be in a gym with him. Like, I just, the way he manifests shit terrifies me. And I hope that changes. Like, to me, the scary thing to me is like Michigan's had rosters the last 3 seasons that should have been able to beat Illinois. And like both the teams have been really good. I think they've been 1A and 1B in the conference. But like if the last 3 years Juwan hasn't been able to do it, I don't know what happens going forward. So, and maybe Kofi was a big part of this. Kofi was so damn good. You guys know that. But like maybe things change when he's gone. I'm pretty excited to see what this year's Illinois team looks like because it's going to be so different. And, you know, Brad's really gassing these boys up. So he's not running from anything, which is, again, part of the Brad Underwood ethos. But no, Brad, like Daddy Brad's here to stay from my perspective until Michigan beats him. As soon as Michigan beats Illinois, I'm not referring to the man as Daddy Brad anymore. But, you know, this might be 3 more years of this, or it might be 3 more months of this.